I'm getting a really, really late start to this, so I apologize, guys. Um, I had so many things in mind that I was gonna do, and one of them was to review another song. I was so close to doing it, and I'm like, you know what? I am gonna check my playlist, and boom! One of the first songs, not one of the first songs, but one of the first original Alejandro Randa songs um, that I did, and I'm so glad I double checked. Like I said, I just been having a ton on my mind, and like I said, I would have felt like a dumbass again. But I've always told people about my channel that it first started off with a lot of Alejandro Aranda, or Scary Pool Party is his stage name. We're making videos about him, and from the advice from one of his fans, they told me, all your videos are going to be about him. When you run out of, content, what are you left with? And that did resonate with me because he had a point, or she had a point. So what I decided to do was, just kind of mix it up like a lot of people do. You know, um, I have a wide range of different, how can I put it? Like I just have like a wide range of interests, from paranormal, UFOs, history, physics, um, so I post all sorts of videos, um, wild theories. I just got into the Joe Rogan show on YouTube. I've never signed up for any podcasts, so I don't know much about podcasts. But I was thinking about setting one up. Um, but it would be nice to have a co-host. And the only person I could think of is living in Oregon, but he is. I only really have two friends in my life, I would say. The rest of them are pretty fake. Um, and that's not every person in my life that, is a friend, but the majority of people that I thought were my friends just turned out to be very fake. And the ones I keep in contact with are the ones who I consider true friends. My best friend, I really do miss her. I don't know what I said, because there was a real dark time in my life where I was really down and out. Um, I don't mind telling people a little bit about my story and where I'm coming from with things, but I had just gotten a divorce, and I wasn't distraught over that. I could have cared less if I if she were if I caught her cheating or whatever. I probably would have just laughed and walked out and finally be done with it. And I'd gotten to the point where I was so sick of her that I would go walking 5 miles a night, no matter the condition. And at the time, I was working for the VA medical center, and she's also an employee of the federal government as an accountant. And anybody who works for the federal government knows there's grades and steps that you take along the way, and the higher you could be, like, let's say grade 8 step, or I might have it backwards, but like step 8 grade whatever 9 or whatever, and it keeps on going up, and up to a certain point then it becomes an elected official. So you could only go so far until you would have to become elected. And she's already on the last step, and she won an internship out of 5,000 applicants. And one thing I'll give her is that she might be the worst person inside, the most ugly, awful person inside that I've ever known in my entire life. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, except her brother, has she not criticized. That is sad. She made our first ultrasound almost like on Knocked Up. So embarrassed. I was like, and she calls the next day when I'm at work, oh, I got a surprise for you. And, my work, I could leave when I wanted to, just as long as I did the hours. And so I left, and then we did a 3D, you know, uh, ultrasound. She was trying to make up for it, so she would know. She knew what the hell she was doing, but she just didn't want to confront it, at that time. And she came up with one of the lamest excuses, and I had a feeling she was having an affair, so I was like, I don't care. I'd rather watch True Detective. The new season came on, and as long as I was there with my dog, that's what mattered. But when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, oh, shit. And I'm, you know, I I believe that a woman has a right to choose. You know, there are so many underlying circumstances where a lot of people don't realize that. And I'm not trying to get into any political conversations here. This is just what I'm saying from my point of view. But a lot of people don't realize that maybe this woman having this baby is just going to be detrimental to the child. And this child's going to grow up, either being a menace to society or being, you know, overcoming the bullshit that they dealt with growing up. Because if a woman isn't ready, or if a man isn't ready to have children, they're not going to give their all. But the moment I seen my daughter, I mean, it was just instant love. And I will never forget it. And going through the custody battle sucks. Before, I never used to be able to talk about my daughter because I would just start choking up, crying very easily. And it was only this last year that I said, you know what? I know I'm going to eventually, the truth is eventually going to rear its head and it's going to come out. And when it does, karma's a bitch and it's going to catch up to her. I didn't know she was married when we hooked up. And I am totally against that because every woman that I've ever dated had cheated on me. And I know that heartbreak. I know that feeling. That feeling just, like, you just want to die. Like, you don't want to go through that heartbreak. At least that's the way I felt. And he was so in love with her. And she was really, and I could have said this back then as I'm saying it now, she was really nothing special as far as looks-wise. I mean, she was cute, but my best friend, who was a girl, or is a girl, a woman, had told her once when she inquired, like, what's his story? And she said, oh, he only likes, like, really, really pretty girls. And I'm like, you could have been, like, a little bit more gentle on her than that. It was funny. But nonetheless, it does, when I get in those deep thoughts about it or something, I'm just like, it kills me to reel myself back in and say, you know what? With each passing day brings me a day closer to, more custody with my baby. So there's a little bit about me right there. And so now, on to the next topic. I decided to go ahead and I'm going to do another, that chapter. I absolutely love Maiko. He's so fun. He's so, like, just like the coolest guy ever. And I was watching, I think I've seen almost, if not every single video he's ever posted. I don't know if I've seen the one that he posted lately, because I know he posts twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in getting into this next one. So I hope you guys enjoy this one, the true crime stuff. Um, for those of you guys who are into those other topics, like I were mentioning, let me know. Honestly, just give me a shout out and let me know. Like, I got a request to check out Arthur Gunn, and I am going to check him out. Now, to the user or to my subscriber who, suggested that, I really don't know much about country. And not that I don't care for it, because I like it. There's a lot of emotions behind their songs. Like, I like Rascal Flatts, but they're like more of a pop type country, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But Jesus Christ, I should have put that on silent. But yeah. I hope you guys like this next story coming up. And yeah, let's get it started. Duh, hit the wrong one. That's what I'm talking about, the kind of day I've been having. All right. To my subscribers, forgive me for having to repeat this constantly now. It's not boastful, it's not bragging or anything. But to any new subscribers, I've always used YouTube Premium. You could look at that from previous videos. You'll never see a commercial. What I do for a living, I'm an actor, and I just wrapped up on my first feature-length film. And it's still kind of hard to accept saying that I'm an actor. But being in a high-budget feature-length film is pretty... For me, it has been a life-changing experience. I'm so eager because the movie's already submitted to multiple film festivals. And not only that, prior to the feature-length film, I did 2 commercials for YouTube. It's for a game, and I'm interested to see how they edited the footage, because I'm not the only one in it. So, if you see commercials or ads, it's not because this guy won't pony up, $18 for premium. I always pony up for premium. But as soon as I see that commercial, back to premium. Like I said, I've been dying to see it. They said, the clients always release the film, or, they release the commercials pretty quickly. But when you're talking about, entertainment industry stuff, quickly can mean months. So forgive me about that and all the ads. But yeah, let's get into tonight's story.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this solo video, what I have for you today is a story which I kind of hinted at, before, but today we're gonna go diggity deep. In southeast Minnesota, a lad was doing the old clackety, you know yourself, and he was looking for 2 things. 1 was some tail, and 2 was to get rid of somebody. This is one of those, if you want to get something done, you really gotta do it yourself type scenarios, because 1, he tried to get somebody else to do it. 2, he tried to get themselves to do it. And 3, well, he was like, well, fine. I guess I'll do it myself. Speaking of those scenarios, I make 2 true crime videos a week every Tuesday and Friday, so please subscribe if you'd like to see them. And a couple of months back, I made 2 videos on the art of hiring fake hitmen. The stories were pretty funny. People thought they were hiring Agent 47, and it was a a cop. And it was crazy how they were just like, yeah, throw my husband off 10 years into a wood chipper or whatever, go wild, be as creative as you want. But in one of the stories I looked at, there was a real-life murder attached to it. Sure, hey, let's give it a go. we got a scene to set before we got a tale to tell, and this tale takes us to Cottage Grove, Minnesota, where pride and prosperity meet is the motto, and it forms a suburb of Minneapolis. Wow, talk about your pride and prosperity. You got houses and logistics and plastics. Oh my.
Logistics.
Cottage Grove lays some pipe. Get oiled up. People seem to be generally enjoying it, though not this person who says it's boring and the tap water sucks. Whoa, calm down. Let's not say things you can't take back. And speaking of things you can't, take back, have a listen to this.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
I think my wife shot herself. There's blood all over.
Does she still have the weapon?
I don't know. We just got
Where did
home
she shoot
here.
herself?
I don't know. I just saw her in blood. I can't tell where she shot. I don't know.
Are we gonna remarry?
I don't know, bud.
That was the oddest phone call. Okay, first off, let me just say this. I know everybody deals with death in a different way. In fact, my stepfather passed away in this house. And he wasn't so old that he needed around-the-clock care. He, for years, loved drinking beer. I mean, I guess you could say he was an alcoholic. And it's so funny, too, because my mom is like one of the sweetest women you will ever meet, but she has bad luck with men, and he came across real nice and sweet. They dated for 20 years, and so she got to know his personality. Finally, they tied the knot, just in a little ceremony. And, my mom already knew, his drinking, and he wasn't one of those wild, belligerent drunks. He would just fall asleep. My mom came home one day, and this is when I was still married, and my other home is only like maybe 5-10 minutes away, if that. I mean, I could literally walk there. It would be like a half an hour, 45-minute walk, but I could walk there. And she called me up, and she was just more in shock, and she kind of sounded like that. She wasn't hysterical. She wasn't, freaking out or anything. And they determined, they never brought her in for questioning because they kind of knew right away, like, I don't know how, but they knew, this wasn't a homicide. This was natural causes, given his lengthy, medical records. And so, I see how some people could just kind of sound like monotone. But why on earth would some little kid in the background said, "Are you going to be remarried?" Oh, I don't know, bud. I mean, excuse me for saying this, but I would have been saying this in my head. What the fuck are you thinking? Like, not even saying that out loud, but just in general, like, where the fuck is your head at to be saying something like that? I know they're just a little kid. They don't understand, but that's their that's their mother. Like, I don't care what age I was at. If I didn't have my mom around, I was throwing a fit. But I'm sorry, I gotta just hear that again, because that's kind of like, and for him to not know where, like, oh, she's dead. Well, she's dead. Yes. Do you see blood? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Did you go up to her and touch her? Did you try CPR? Did you try to resuscitate her? No.
Take back. Have a listen to this.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
I think my wife shot herself. There's blood all over.
Does she still have the weapon?
Oh, okay, so
I
you
don't know.
said blood.
We just
Where
got
did
home
she shoot
here.
herself?
I don't know. I just saw her in blood. I can't tell where she shot. I don't know.
Are we gonna remarry?
I don't know, bud.
It is a 911 call that was made in November 2016. The weather that evening was calm, the air temperature crisp, and officers with the Cottage Grove Police Department were sent to South Street Cottage Grove. There was the house of the Allwines. You got your Stephen, your Amy, and their adopted son. They were a loving, by all accounts, happy, deeply religious family. And now Amy was gone. It looked like by her own hand. When the police arrived, they found Stephen and his son in the garage. He directed the police to the back bedroom, and there Amy was found. She was lying on the floor, blood pooling around her and under her head. Beside lay a 9mm handgun. She was slightly warm to the touch, but her pulse had long since stopped pulsating. She was gone. She had shot herself in the head. A shell casing was nearby, and the oven was still on.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to pause it real quick. I apologize for this so much. Man, things almost went on barn door. What is it? Barn door activation. Like on a Endgame. Initiate barn door. And everything starts closing up. I got a hit on my security camera. Something's at my gate. And I'm like, what the, so I'm so sorry. Let's get back to this, man. I'm intrigued, beyond blown my mind. It's just wow.
In 2016, Stephen was 43, Amy 44 years old. They had been married for many's a year, over 20 by the end. Having met at a Christian college and fallen in the big L, they would later adopt a son. They took religion very seriously, being members of the United Church of God, which, could really kind of be anything. Aren't most religions United Churches? They're running out of names. Stephen was an elder in the church, and he would give counseling to couples going through tough times.
Wow.
Though he had his own ahead. For some skadoosh, he worked as an IT consultant. Amy was a professional dog trainer. She had her own school, and she was loved dearly by her friends and her family. So this happening to her was shocking. So that evening, the 13th of November 2016, Stephen, he had been at home with Amy pretty much all day. And then their son had been with the grandparents, so he had gone over to collect their son. He said he last saw Amy at about 5:29 p.m. He was yapping away to her. She was saying she was feeling a bit lightheaded, a bit under the weather. He asked her, but she was like, I'm grand. Go off, collect our son, bring him back home. So he went off. He picked up the son. They had a bite to eat. They came back home at about 7 p.m. The son went into the house first. And it was actually, he found Amy, he called for his dad, and, she had just gone, it appeared. He said the smoke was still in the air, and 911 was called.
I think my wife shot herself. There's blood all over.
What do you think happened to Amy?
The firearm was in the crook of her left arm, which was unusual. Stephen would confirm she was right-handed, and the gunshot was to the right side of her head. That was something that was off from, at the scene from the start. There was a couple of things, actually. The oven was on, presumably, Amy was, she had been roasting pumpkins in the oven, so presumably she had been, doing the old cooking, and then what, she was just like, fuck this.
Okay, this is, I swear to God, I swear on my daughter. So, a friend of the family, I've never met her, but she's a friend to my one of my closest cousins, you know, she has a real good, loving husband who, I don't know if he was into politics, you know, for the state of Colorado or something, but she was a stay-at-home mom. He made enough money to really give them a great life. And I think it was on Wednesday is that my cousin called. She's extremely close. My cousin's extremely close to my mother, so it's like her daughter. And she was telling her that the family all had went out to eat and everything was fine. And the husband was downstairs watching TV, and the wife was, you know, walking up the stairs, and she stopped at her son's bedroom door and looked in. And she went to her room and shot herself, killed herself. No explanation, no signs of trauma or anything along those lines. No mention of... Now, mind you, this is just what I've heard. I don't know if they had a great marriage or if they were, you know, at constant odds. Those things I don't know. But to go there and stop and look at your son, and I don't know if she said anything to him, but the next thing everyone heard was the gun going off, and she shot herself in the head. And it doesn't... Some people can't comprehend, you know, what would drive a person to do something like that. And gosh, it's so important to listen to people when they talk to you about life struggles, because you might just say the one word that might just change their mind. And so, you know, the next time somebody vents to you about something, no matter how menial it may come across, you know, just kind of follow through and just be like, hey, have things gotten better, man? Or something, because I don't know if this lady was ever trying to reach out to anybody. And she was only like 48. And I know I believe the highest percentage of suicides are middle-aged housewives, followed by doctors and lawyers who kill themselves. But it was just, yeah, I mean, it shocked the shit out of everyone. And like I said, I don't know her personally, but I don't wish that upon my worst enemy. And, you know, condolences to her family, man, because that is just mind-blowing. So, you know, like I said, everybody reacts to things like this differently, but obviously, you know, Mike here, he puts in the work, and that's one thing I'll give him. So this is going to lead into something interesting.
The blood around her had drops, as if something had been suspended, dripping blood beside her. Later, when an autopsy was performed, the trajectory of the bullet was downward. Be very awkward to, like, do that to yourself. The medical examiner could not rule this as a suicide, and so it had to be treated from the very start as the other thing. And then the hallway in the house, which looked brand new, shampoo, like it had just been cleaned. Well, the police got luminol, our old friend luminol, and, well, they found a lot of stains up the wazoo.
Jeez. Someone
had cleaned up, and now they had every sign this was a murder. Signed, sealed, delivered. But when the police, the Cottage Grove PD, were called, the Allwines were not unknown to the police. 6 months earlier, Amy Allwine had death threats leveled against her. Someone had been using the dark web, fucking dark web, lads, and had put a bounty on Amy Allwine's head, dead or alive. Well, I mean, mostly dead. But they had paid the kingly sum of 12 grand to have it done. Now it had been done. Back in May of 2016, the FBI had been alerted to a plot, and then alerted the Cottage Grove PD that one of their citizens may be in danger. the Besa Mafia. Remember those boys? Well, here you can go back and watch Hiring Fake Hitmen Part 2, but a long story, not so long. Basically, the...
Do not buy solar panels if you live in one of these 11 states of America. It's the worst decision you could make.
The Besa Mafia was a website on the dark web that you could access, and you could pay in Bitcoin these Albanian assassinos to beat the living shite out of somebody or murder someone. Whatever your fancy, really. It was believable, very much so, to actual, like, ex-Special Forces lads who would contact the Besa Mafia looking for work. Now, when I say it was believable, that's because it wasn't real. It was a scam. It was a scam because people would pay money in Bitcoin, which is largely untraceable, and then nothing would happen. You know, you would ask, kill this person, you know, here's all the information you know, and then they'd be like, yeah, we'll get right on that. And I mean, you know, what are you gonna do, call the police? Yeah, I paid these online hitmen to murder somebody I know, and now they won't do it. That's a breach of contract. The Besa Mafia site had been hacked at one point, and a lot of requested hits released. The site was fake. The requests from all over the world were very real, and so this information would be sent to police departments, and they'd be like, yeah, somebody tried to pay to have you murdered, and they thought it was real. And someone had wanted Amy Allwine dead, a person who went by the pseudonym Dog Day God. In February 2016, Dog Day God had inquired to the Besa Mafia how much for a hit, how much to make it look like a car accident. $6 grand, and they asked how to pay. They were directed to Bitcoin websites. She, Dog Day God, used female pronouns, directed the Mafia toward Amy when she was in Illinois for a dog training competition in March 2016, saying they didn't give a shit about her traveling companion and they needed this bitch dead. The Besa Mafia would later email Dog Day God and say, yeah, they followed her in Illinois, but you know, shit happens, they didn't have a chance. They'll get her next time. Next time they'd use a sniper. During this whole time, Dog Day God was emailing. She was telling the Besa Mafia of Amy's car type, her schedules, all that. Now again, the hit wouldn't happen. This time the Mafia would say the assassin, you know, they almost got her, but they got pulled over and arrested for driving a stolen vehicle and possessing a gun. So, Amy and Stephen were informed of this. Stephen got a gun, the one Amy would later kill herself with, and installed security systems in their home. Then, in late July, after Amy and Stephen had been alerted, you know, about this plot, Amy started getting emails from jane@gmail.com. Wow, how did I get that email address? The emails were pretty nasty, and they went like so.
Amy, I still blame you for my life falling apart. I do not know how a fat bitch like you got to my husband, but because of you he left, and my life has become shit. I am sending you this email because it looks like you already know about me. I see that you have put up a security system now, and I have been informed by people on the internet that the police were snooping around my earlier emails. I have been assured that the emails are untraceable and they will not find me. But I cannot attack you directly with them watching. Here is what is going to happen. Since I cannot get to you, I will come after everything else that you love. I know about your son, your husband, and your business. But thanks to the internet, I see you have a mother and father in Woodbury, a brother in St. Paul, and a sister in Yardley, PA. I have been busy researching topics on the internet and have found that if you inject water into the brake line, then you will cause them to fail. What would happen if the brakes on the truck failed when your husband was hauling a heavy load? I found out how to blow up a gas meter and make it look like an accident. I know that the meter on your house and on your business are on the east side, and the meter on your parents' house is on the south side. I'm still watching you and your family. Here is how you can save your family. Commit suicide. If you do not, then you will slowly see things taken away from you. And each time you will know that you could have stopped it, which will eat you apart from the inside. By the time I am done, you will want to end it anyway. So why not do it now and save them? Based on a suicide website I'd rather not say. The best ways to do it are shotgun to the head, cyanide, gunshot to the head, which is the same thing, shotgun to the chest, explosives, hit by train, jump from height, hanging, household toxins, inhaling gas, slitting wrist or throat. I know about this website because I've thought of this option many times. Remember, if you do not get it right the first time, then you will likely be committed for mental health issues and you will lose your business and possibly your family. So, I would pick a reliable method. I think it is an easy choice. 1 life to save 6 lives. Your family does not need you, but you can save them. Do not tell anyone about this email or the deal is off. And I will come after your family.
Well, that really says it all. I think they covered all their bases there. And you know, Amy would receive follow-up emails after that saying, you know, well, giddy up like. By the way, Amy was not having an affair and she didn't steal anyone's husband.
The idea that somebody would just out of the blue want to kill somebody out of our family is just obscene.
So you have all of that, and then you have her actually ending up as a victim of a homicide. Dog days God, your days are doggone. The investigation would continue for weeks into who killed Amy Allwine, who this female, this dog day God person was, and from some of the interactions they gathered, this person was a business competitor to Amy in the fucking vicious lads, dog training business, no mucking about. They did find one link. A few months back, Dog Day God, after contacting the Besa Mafia, had inquired about scopolamine on Dream Market Forum, a dark web marketplace. Now, scopolamine is used mainly to treat nausea, vomiting after surgery. Anesthesia can make you feel ill, so they'll give you this. And funnily enough, it was actually one of the first truth serums out there. But so it's often used to treat nausea, motion sickness, that kind of thing. But if you give enough of it to somebody, it will cause memory loss and lack of consciousness. Essentially, it's quite similar to Rohypnol, to the date rape drug. So they wanted to see was any of it in her system. Maybe this Dog Day God person was pretty serious. The police asked the medical examiner to test if Amy had it, and they found in Amy's system over 40 times what a doctor would prescribe of scopolamine, in her system. And she hadn't been prescribed any by no doctor. So who was this Dog Day God person? Who could they be? Well, that would become clear when the medical examiner would rule Amy's time of death to be at about 3 p.m. One thing, my friends, is that nothing is ever really gone. Ever. You think it's deleted, from your phone, your computer, your whatever. It's probably not. Or at least not completely. That's what Stephen Allwine...
Your new home needs more than just paint. It needs the power of CertaPro painters. The power of a customized plan that brings your vision to life. The power of Pro. Start your project at CertaPro.com.
Notion still continues to be the easiest way to just get information centralized somewhere, and then
thought when he handed over his phone to the police and was like, yeah, knock yourselves out. He handed over his phone on the 13th of November, the day the investigation began, and on his phone, the police found some messages from a woman named Michelle. Now, Michelle and Stephen had some spicy meatballs, and by meatballs, I mean messages and Stephen's meat and balls. She lived in the Western Metro Twin Cities area, and when the police spoke to her, she told them all about her and Stephen's relationship. A relationship that had begun on the site Ashley Madison, the website for cheating on your husband or wife. Stephen had in fact learned of this website from his marriage counseling in the church days. Couples would come in and I guess they would say, yeah, he's cheating on me using Ashley Madison. And Stephen was sitting there. He was thinking to himself, wow, it just ruined their marriage. Maybe I'll try it. Stephen would date Michelle and a couple of other women on it. Now remember how Dog Day God had paid in Bitcoin to have Amy Allwine killed? All done on Tor, the browser, and VPNs, and all of that. They weren't able to like trace any kind of IP addresses from it. But one thing was that Stephen, he was questioned. He said he'd never in my life, lads, been on the dark web. But his phone did have a Bitcoin wallet. The same day Dog Day God asked the Besa Mafia how to pay them for the murder, cookies were installed on Stephen's phone from CoinDesk and a few other Bitcoin websites. A Bitcoin address Dog Day God had sent to the Besa Mafia in an email. That same address was also found on Stephen's phone on a deleted file. Every transaction has a unique address. The only way Stephen could have that address was if he was Dog Day God. In that big old email that was sent to Amy from jane@email.com, all that information had been searched for on Stephen's computer.
I can see that there looked like some blood in the wood floor just outside the bedroom that had been cleaned. Do you have any information about that?
No.
Were there any injuries by anyone in the house that had been bleeding?
Not that you know.
When you checked on Amy, do you recall getting blood on you in any way?
Stephen was due to be working on the 13th of November from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. The 13th of November, that was a Monday. He worked Sundays to Wednesdays. So he did log in at like 6 a.m. that day, the last day, but he did zero work at all. In his IT, work, he would he'd work on projects and he would constantly be providing case updates, notes, and stuff like that. There was none that day. Finally, gunshot residue was found on Stephen's right hand. It was in January 2017 that Stephen Allwine was arrested and charged with Amy's murder. Stephen pleaded not guilty. He was pretty convinced, and still remains to this day convinced, that Dog Day God is a real person, not him, but a real person who had it out for Amy. But the prosecution said the story went like this. Stephen wanted a divorce, but his church would poo-poo that idea. He wanted to be out there dogging chicks, and so Amy had to go. If he couldn't divorce, then he wanted a more permanent solution. At first, he tried to hire what he thought was a real hitman. Then, when that didn't work, as it was a scam, he tried to get her to kill herself. And then he decided to do it the old-fashioned way. When his son was at the grandparents' house, he drugged Amy and shot her dead. Then he made it look like a suicide, cleaned up the scene, went, picked up his son, and had his son find her.
Are we gonna remarry?
I don't know, but...
He was also hoping to pick up that, 700 big ones. Very nice. Stephen Allwine was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
"5 years later, in the chapel of Stillwater Prison, Stephen Allwine is sitting down for his first interview. He claims he was framed.
Did you kill Amy?
No.
Who did?
I believe, based on the evidence that I've seen now, I believe I know who did. And I trace it back to somebody that she was working with.
How did that very specific Bitcoin wallet end up on your Apple products?
Right, so again, it never showed up on my phone, so just to clarify that. But my supposition, and again, I don't have evidence to back this up, is that somebody else got it posted to the cloud, and then the cloud synced with my MacBook and brought it there.
What you seem to be saying is that there was an elaborate hack involved of your systems to make you look guilty.
Yes.
And yet there's never been any evidence of that, correct?
Well, Yes and no. I mean, one of the things I always tell people is, change your passwords, update your passwords, have different passwords, and unfortunately, I didn't follow my own advice. I couldn't have done it. If you know me as an individual, I couldn't have done it.
Once again, we have a story of, come on, just get a divorce. Come on, just divorce. There's no need to be killing. No need. Come on, man. But the religion wouldn't let them. So let me get this straight. Stephen wouldn't get a divorce because the religion frowned upon it. He thought it might make him look bad. So he killed her instead. After all, divorce is a no-no, but if he's a widower and his wife killed herself, well, isn't he just a swell poor old guy, you know? Poor creature like. So once again, it's about somebody hiding behind a religion while not giving a shit about being a good person at all if they think murdering somebody is not as bad as divorcing somebody.
We believe that marriage is a covenant not just between the man and the woman, but with God as well. And so, unless you knowingly break that covenant, then we don't.
Most religions say, try and be decent, but they don't even give a shit about that then either. They would rather end somebody else's life than be frowned upon. Just stop doing it. Just stop. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with Misha, watching this whole video. Right here, to end, please subscribe if you'd like to. That helps out a lot to see 2 true crime videos a week every Tuesday and Friday. You can check out merch down below in the description. There's some t-shirts and mugs and hoodies and all that kind of stuff. Or you can check out Patreon, where it's $2 a month. You get, bonus videos, early access to videos, Discord, and there's actually a discount for the shop too. So yeah, that about wraps it all up. Come on. Here, listen, I'll see you as always real soon in the next one. But until then, please take care of yourselves. Because I love you. Mike out.
One of the best creators on YouTube, in my opinion. He really, really does a thorough job. And, go over there and give him some love, man. Because he could still have, he should be over 1.67 million. He's put in some work. Which is just, yeah. He's awesome in my opinion. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I jumped on this way too late tonight. I was supposed to have like a date, but then, yeah, that didn't follow through. So, I'm like, damn it. Not damn it because the date didn't follow through, but damn it because I'm like, ugh, now I don't get to post as many videos as I like. But, I'm going to try to get up another one. Usually people stay up a little bit later on Saturdays anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace.